Next up, we have Sherry Cruz, who is the co-founder of the Formerly Incarcerated Union and a longtime Rhode Islander, who uses her own experiences as well as a child, sister, and a mother impacted by criminal legal systems in Rhode Island to advocate to end the harmful impacts of mass incarceration. Sherry, come on up.
Say hi to Khalil.
Hi.
Thank you, Khalil. I just want you first to take a look around at all these people, all the organizations here today. This is your movement family, okay? Because in this work, we can't do it alone. We have to do this together. We have to do this together, not for me, for you, but to support one another. Yes. To end this mass criminalization and this war on poverty here in Rhode Island. So I'm Sherry Cruz, one of the co-founders of the Formerly Incarcerated Union, and we're going to share some of the things that Reverend Charlene Washington had touched on that'll work towards ending mass criminalization and the war on poverty. I know everyone's heard about the recent cannabis bill, and one of them is we know there's a lot more work to be done. We know that as of December 1st, there will be thousands of people who had possession of cannabis will now be able to get it automatically expunged by the state. What's so important about it getting automatically expunged is that the state now admits they are part of this harm on so many thousands of Rhode Islanders. And now people can have a path forward. But we know our work is not done there. There's so much more work to do. We know there's barriers to employment, barriers to housing when people have passed drug-related convictions. That's why we have to keep moving forward on decriminalization of substances here in Rhode Island. We know this because we've all been there and we know what those barriers are like. In addition, I just want to share around the Free Her campaign. So Free Her campaign is a national advocacy, distributed organizing campaign led by formerly incarcerated women from across the country, and they're picking 6 states. And Rhode Island is one of them. Why? Because 6 of the New England states have the lowest incarceration of women and girls for things as petty as shoplifting or having a substance use disorder. So we know that our women are being impacted along with our families and our community. We know women are a backbone of our community. So we unapologetically ask to free our women from the prisons here in at the ACI here in Rhode Island. Free our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, our daughters. Some of that work is working on clemency and pardons, also working with the Innocence Project, because we know our women are there who are wrongfully convicted. And it happens every day, and we all know it here. So we're going to continue that work, and we all have to come together to continue that work. Free her! Free her! Another piece to start to chip away at this mass incarceration and free our people here in Rhode Island is a Parent Caregiver Bill. This is part of the work of keeping our families together. If a primary caregiver, a mom, a dad, a direct family member is impacted, is facing incarceration, this states that it has to be considered that the trauma, the separation to families is taken into consideration, and alternatives to a cage is given to families as part of that conviction. So to keep more of our families out of these cages here in Rhode Island. So that's the Parent Caregiver Bill, and we need everyone to be a part of it to, again, start chipping away on the pipelines that keep getting our Rhode Islanders into the prisons here in Rhode Island and feeding that destructive system. Yes. And in closing, I'll talk about voting rights, the cornerstone of our democracy. We've seen it here in Rhode Island for generations of being blocked from the right to vote from before pre-2006 of anybody who had a felony conviction. I know because both my parents were formerly incarcerated, never had that right to vote. I also didn't have that right to vote, and it took a grassroots effort of many of the people and organizations here today that moved a voting rights bill. That's right, if you're here and you were part of that, I want to hear you shout. Because that was huge, huge in Rhode Island. right? That made thousands and thousands of Rhode Islanders got that right to vote back. But there's more work to be done around that. Because we're learning every day that many people who had that right under that bill are still being denied that right to vote. Because they're afraid. They're afraid of our voices. People being held at the ACI without bail or can't access the bail, who haven't been convicted of a felony, serving misdemeanors. They can vote and are having difficulty getting access to their ballot and casting that vote. So we're here today to make sure we know that and start a coalition and a campaign to make sure we continue to get those rights for people to access their vote. Yes. That's right. Because we know, right, the voices of those directly impacted by criminalization are invaluable to our democracy. That's how we change it. When we get more of us up here at this state house and making the legislation and making the laws to free our people and break down those barriers. So again, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. And again, take a look around. This is not easy work. This is 100-year work. And this is your movement family right here. And we have to stay together strong until we keep ending and working towards ending mass criminalization here in Rhode Island. So thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Boy, these women are powerful. I feel a chant coming on. When I say, what does community look like? I want to hear you say, this is what community looks like. What does community look like? This is what community looks like. What does community look like? This is what community looks like. Yes, power, power, power.